Hi, everyone. I'm actually happy to see that so many people are interested in analytics, and I hope that today you will find some new interest and stuff here. So, before we start, let me very quickly introduce myself, so we have more time for the content part, which is more interesting. My name is Julia. I'm from DevTodev. DevTodev is a game analytics platform, and for the last 10 years, we've been helping game developers to make data-informed decisions to grow their products. And that is why the topic of today's presentation is, welcome, is grow your games with data. I don't know at what stage of game development you are right now, but since you came to this session, I suppose that some of you are developing a game and maybe confused with a variety of tools that are available on the market today. Right, maybe another part of you has already launched a game, but still making decisions based on their gut feeling rather than data. If any of this is your case, today you will have a lot of answers, and hopefully I will help you to make an informed decision about the tools that you're going to use. Actually, today's agenda covers 5 basic steps that you would take when integrating analytics. The first one is, of course, analyze your need in product analytics, decide why you need it, which tasks and problems it will help you to solve. Then choose a setup that would fit your current situation in the company, that would fit your company's size, experience, and budget, of course. Third, create a map or skip of events. We will cover some tips on how to create the map of events. And then, of course, implement events and conduct testing. And finally, but very important part, we will cover how to connect all data sources that you may have into one single organized view, which is critical for making really informed and correct data-driven decisions. So let's start from the first step, why you need product analytics. Product analytics helps you to build your player journey, like from the moment the player installs your game to the moment they pass the tutorial, then maybe watch ad, make the first purchase, second purchase, and finally churn. And when you know your player activity, you can answer many, many questions. For example, which user acquisition channels are effective for you and which are not. Or you can analyze different behavior patterns of your users and understand why your metrics change. You can also, importantly, identify your points of growth. These are places in the game, sometimes very small, and where small changes can lead to really good improvements in your metrics. And actually many, many more tasks that you can do with analytics, but to do them, you need a product analytics platform, right? So let's choose one. Generally speaking, there are 2 types of analytics setups that you would be choosing between. This is in-house analytics and some ready or off-the-shelf solutions. I'm not here to agitate you to choose one or another. It's a very personal choice, and I understand that. It depends a lot on your company structure, on your experience, on your budget. But I hope that by mentioning some of the advantages and risks associated with both of these ways, I will help you to an informed decision about the tools. So let's first talk about the in-house analytics. Usually it's a setup that looks the following way. We have an app. An app sends data to servers of the developer. It's collected in the database. Then developers write some queries to extract data from the database. And then also we have visualization tool or BI tool that is attached to this database to visualize, to create beautiful charts and dashboards to make some decisions based on data. The main advantage of the in-house, of course, it's the most flexible setup that can possibly be. And that is why many head of analytics, for example, prefer this setup, and I can understand them. Also, there is relatively low cost associated with running this in-house after it is set up. First, it will require, of course, a lot of investment, but then once everything is set up, the maintenance cost is relatively low. However, there are certain risks that also associated are with in-house, so which you need to be aware of if you go for it. First of all, lack of native integrations with some other tools that you're going to use. Keep in mind that if you are going to use some additional tools for attribution, for A/B testing, for push notifications, you would need to struggle with API to connect these tools to your in-house system. In ready solutions, it's made with some native integrations, but here absent. Also, if you run in-house, you would need your own servers and you need to pay for them. Also, you need additional servers probably for Tableau tool or similar tool to run more quickly, as well to pay for license of Tableau. Also paying for salaries of database administrators, for analysts, and so on and so forth. So in the end, it's not a free solution like maybe many people can think. Also, when you build a house setup, you need to understand that you're building everything from scratch. There are no ready reports, there are no ready dashboards, there are no filters, there are no segments. So everything you would need to build from scratch, and you need to be sure that the person that is going to build it is very experienced and they know what they are doing. To avoid so-called dead ends, when you're developing something for years, you invest a lot of time, and then in the end you understand that probably it's not something that we've expected, or maybe it doesn't work. So keep that in mind. Finally, for in-house, you would need, of course, an analyst that knows SQL, that knows Python to operate the system. And there is a risk that this analyst can become a so-called bottleneck in the workflow. I can illustrate this with this example. So let's say we have a game producer, and he needs to answer a very simple question. Let's say, what is the average time of a player it takes to complete a level? They go to an analyst. Analyst runs SQL query, visualizes, returns it to a game producer. And according to some clients that I've been working with, this process, these simple questions can take from several hours to several days. Why? Because first of all, it's not like a couple of clicks in the system, it's an SQL query. And secondly, there are also like a bunch of people standing in the line, like also marketing manager needs to answer another question, game designer needs to answer the third question. And so they are standing in the line for an analyst. So that is why I really like this quote that I mentioned here on the screen. It's by product manager at Instacart. And it says, if you say you're data-driven, but everything has to go through an analyst, then you're not actually data-driven. And here's another scenario of how this could work with some ready analytics solutions. So we see that here, game producer, game designer, marketing manager, they have access to ready solution, and they can answer certain simple questions just in a couple of clicks. And then we have analyst who focuses only on the most important questions, on something that really worth their attention. So as you see, these setups in-house and ready solutions, they are not always mutually exclusive. They can work in a really good synergy. All right, with that being said, let's move on to ready solutions. What are their disadvantages and what are their advantages? As we said, sometimes decisions need to be made very quickly. And in that case, ready solution can be really, really useful because project managers, product managers, game designers have direct access to analytics. And the next thing I would mention is that integrating ready solution is much, much easier and quicker because we have SDK, we have documentation, and there is a step-by-step guide, and in this step-by-step guide there is also written how to connect additional sources, like best practices, so it's pretty quick. And of course, after integrating the solution, you get a lot of reports and dashboards that you can start working with right away. You don't need to wait months or years to build everything. Okay, and what are the disadvantages? First thing that we can mention is pricing, but it depends. That is why I put question mark, because remember, there are free solutions on the market as well, which you can use, freemium solutions, and as well, don't forget that in-house is also you need to pay for servers, you need to pay for salaries, so it's also not free. So it depends. Also, some free solutions, if not to say all of them, use your data for teaching their ML models, for selling it to some third-party ad networks, also providing industry benchmarks for the industry. But usually they're saying openly about it, so it's your company's choice to, is it okay for you or not? And of course, ready solutions are usually less flexible. That is obvious. You cannot answer all of the questions in the world with ready reports and dashboards. That is why my recommendation would be, if you go for a ready solution, choose the one where you can export raw data, or even better, choose the one that has SQL integrated. You may be surprised, but some off-the-shelf analytics solutions on the market do have SQL integrated, like SQL editor integrated in them. So to the right, you can see, probably familiar to you, BigQuery, but to the left, these are SQLs of ready analytics platforms, such as our DevTodev and Amplitude. All right, and here I've prepared a checklist for you. If you decide to go for a ready solution, which things you need to keep in mind? First of all, which ready reports are provided by the system? Almost every system on the market has demo projects. So go there, check the demo project, which reports are available, which filters are available, and so on. Secondly, flexibility. Of course, check if all the filters or cohorts that you would need to be working with are available. Also, if there is SQL, if there are formulas that allow you to build custom metrics. Very importantly, check limitations. That's really key stuff, because the systems may have limitations on the number of custom events, on the number of parameters, on the number of users that may use the system, so check this thoroughly. If you're a big company and you need different access roles to the system, like to restrict some metrics from certain roles, also check that this system of your choice supports this. Check if you have raw data access and for how long this raw data is stored. And of course, available native integrations, because they will save you a lot of time in the future if they are already existing in your platform. Okay, and now imagine that we've chosen the analytics platform. What's the next step? The next step is to write the scheme or map of events. Event is any action, any data point that is triggered when a user performs a certain action in the game. How to define them? First, define the key events in your game, like what you expect users to do. For example, sign up, finish tutorial, make a payment. Then look around these events, like what preceded these events, what can go after. For example, before making a purchase, maybe users will open a game shop, maybe they will scroll items, maybe they will choose an item category in your in-game shop. You can also log these as events. But don't collect data for the sake of data. Each event that you're collecting should ideally help you to answer some questions. And here are some tips on how to name events. So we can name events, for example, like element and action, like booster used or store open. And then in the parameter, there are also such entities as parameters, which are like additional information that you're sending along with the event. You can name, send there, for example, the type of booster used. Let's say maybe it was a potion, maybe it was, I don't know, a gun, a glove, whatever. And it's really useful to use these parameters because some developers put parameter value in the event name, and they come up, like in this second scenario, and they come up with a list of like 1,000 custom events where they could have 100 events and 5, 10 parameters each. Also, don't forget that the system of your choice may already have some basic events. Basic events are pre-written events that make your life easier. So if you're, for example, integrating game analytics platform, you will have basic events for payments, for leveling up, for tutorial steps, and so on. This will really, really save your time. And also some systems go even further and they make automatically generated events. This can be install, add impression, push send, subscription. Just check the documentation, see what the system of your choice offers you. And many developers ask me like how to create a map of events, how should it look like? Actually, a standard Excel file can work perfect for this purpose. So just make sure it contains app version, that it contains screen on which the action takes place, trigger, the condition according to which the event is sent, event name, parameters, of course, because we've discussed with you how important it is to have parameters. And yeah, basically, you feel free to make a photo of this because this can be useful if you're preparing to make a scheme of events. One of the most frequently asked questions from developers is how long does it take to integrate analytics? And answers may vary, but I want to give you some orienteers. So here is a game by Remy Vision, a Polish developer, and it's a match 3 game, and they've integrated analytics in 30 hours. It was their first experience, so their representative Michal told me that actually it could take them twice less time, which means they could make it in 15 hours if they were doing it for the second or third time. So, I mean, this timeline can vary because it depends on the game genre, on how detailed you want your analytics to be. But I think that it's always good to have some orienteers, and that is why I decided to mention it here. Of course, the next step, once you've integrated your events, you need to check that everything is working. So go to analytics system, check your logs, that all events are coming, that they're coming in the right order, that they're coming at the right time, there is no delay. And then go to the platform, try to build reports, some conversion funnels, maybe some user flows, to see that you can actually answer most of the questions that may appear. And we are going forward to the final part of this presentation, which is, it's about the fact that your analytics platform should not only be able to collect data events, it should also be seamlessly connected with all other data sources that you may have. Make sure that you have integrations with attribution platforms such as Adjust or Flyer, with mediation platforms such as Max or Iron Source, with push notification services, with in-app messaging tools, A/B testing tools, subscription trackers if you have subscriptions. As you can see here, I mentioned some names, and some of these tools perform several functions at the same time. So I think it's really, really useful for making your tech stack more simple and efficient, to use less tools if some of them already perform several functions. And very useful practice is to, when you're choosing your tools, is to take a paper and just draw a scheme of how your tools are going to be connected to each other. So here we have a game, like let's say it's iOS and Android game, and in it we have integrated attribution platform, mediation platform, A/B testing tool, push notification service, and of course product analytics platform. As you see, all of these data sources, they are connected to each other, and some of them are connected even both ways. I will try to illustrate why it is important, this two-way communication between the tools. For example, in your product analytics platform, you may have identified a segment of users that needs to be contacted by, let's say, push notifications. Let's say these are users that are paying users, but they haven't been paying for the last month, and you want to change that. You want to make them offer, to kind of make them pay one more time. So you need to be sure that you can create this segment in your analytics platform and send it to the push notifications tool, and that your push notifications tool can send data again to the analytical platform, so that later you can check the user flow before or after users receive the push. And how to connect all the sources, that's the most difficult and interesting question. If you're using ready tools, most probably they have native integrations with each other. So it would be a matter of really one click to connect them. But if there is no native integration or you're using in-house, then you would need to struggle a bit with the API and use API connectors. So I think we've covered all of the most frequently asked questions when people are integrating analytics. You can ask me more questions now, or also reach me out wherever, on LinkedIn, on email. Thank you.
Thank you, Yulia. Maybe you have some questions and I can give you mic. Thank you for a great presentation.
There are questions, I think.
Yeah, question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. So my question is, like, obviously we're tracking users, so like every event it's connected with user, right? But probably we'll also want to track like how our game updates impact our users. So, for example, in your tool devtodev, is it like out of box? Can I out of box like see how, for example, level 55, I have like a long duration for all players. I want to change the balance to make it faster, and can I like compare like new version of the game with old version of the game, like just online screen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, that is the beauty of ready analytics solutions, that you have, they kind of automatically collect data about your updates and you have it in filters. So to any report in the system, you would be able to apply the filter by version, and you would be able to compare these versions. So you will know if actually this update was effective for you or not. So the answer is yes, and if you would be curious, I can even show you later on the demo.
Okay, probably.
Yeah.
We'll look at it later. Thank you.
Thank you for the question and answer. Maybe another one question? Yeah, thank you.
Hello, thank you for the talk. My question is about dev-to-dev analytics. Is it possible to have access about player attribution like age, sex, and so on in analytics, and to use it for my own analytics?
So basically you want to know demographic data to have it in your product analytics platform, right? So in this case, the answer would be whatever data you will send us, we will receive it. So if on your side you know the age of users, if you know their gender, you can pass this data to analytics platform and use it for creating segments, for creating filters, but you would need to collect this data somehow. So for example, you can make a form that users have to fill in when they register, sign up for your game, for example. The analytics system itself will not identify the gender of a player. Mm-hmm. No. To any product analytics platform, actually, you would need to pass this data in custom properties of users. So there will be a user, and each user may have basic properties and custom properties. Basic properties are automatically collected by our SDK. It's location, it's app version, and so on. And then in custom properties, you can send information. So if you get it somewhere, you can pass it to custom properties. Mm-hmm.
So no more questions, I think. Yeah? Last one. Yeah, it will be last one.
Is it possible to use those analytics to the offline games? For example, because I assume you more show like mobile games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about the offline games? Is there any synchronization with the users? Because not all they are connected to the internet. Do you have a solution for offline games?
Mm-hmm. We actually do have some PC games, for example, on our clients, but to collect this data, you would need internet connection, that's right. So at some point, you would still need this connection. For example, if the user is online, even on mobile games, they can be offline but playing, and then they connect to online, and this data is passed to an analytics platform.
Like a bunch.
A bunch, yes. I mean, they will come in the very correct order with the correct timing, but it will just take a while. So I don't know, in your game, there is no connection at all to the internet, or?
I'm just assuming.
Okay. Yeah, but actually, some mobile game developers even forbid to play their games without online connection. It's, I think, for the purposes of analyzing it super quickly.
So thank you very much, Julia. Thank you for your questions.